Some key members of the opposition National Democratic Congress are calling for an early Congress in a bid to end what they termed as despondency crippling into the NDC. The aftermath of the party's loss in the 2016 general elections has also brought to fore an anger and acrimony amongst members who have painted a picture of sharp divisions within the party.
Cracks seemingly deepening in the NDC after the loss of the 2016 general elections. Accusations upon accusations. This has taken center page in the party.
Once the national executive have led us into such an abysmal failure, you can't blame the Council of Elders. But the Council of Elders is not part and parcel of the decision-making process of the party.
It is clear the mistakes of the party have compounded with jab strewing all over.
The victory of the NDC is coming again.
The national executives have initiated a healing process which in itself has turned acrimonious. The Butcher Committee is wrapping up its inquiry over the reasons why the NDC lost. Many have said it is not worth it. Four big names in the NDC: former majority leader Dr. Benjamin Kumbo, former employment minister MP Bosia Kosetre, former lands and natural resources minister Mike Hammer, and Ikwamwa Ofosu-Boateng are championing an early Congress in the name of cadres. According to them, the humiliating defeat of the party in elections is a clear manifestation that the NDC needs reorganization. For them, it is time for somber reflections and a return to the party's core principles and values in order to recapture political power. The four, together with the cadres, also wants the party leaders to stop the pontification regarding who is to lead them into the 2020 elections, cautioning them against what they say is boiling under their feet. Dump the party's register, the cadres are demanding.
And just as you saw there, new reports have it that some influential members of the NDC have already some time now been calling for former President Mahama to contest the party's 2020 presidential candidate. Now, this and other issues have come up, and even though the Dr. Kwesi Botwe Committee is yet to make its report available to the public. Now, we want to get a bit more into this. A former Minister of Health, Minister of Defense, Minister of Government Business in Parliament, held a number of portfolios, indeed, in the actual Males and Mahama administration. Dr. Benjamin Kumbo is here with me. Good evening to you. Thank you very much. It's great to have you. Now, you are signatory to this statement calling for an early Congress in the NDC. First of all, have you appeared before the Kwesi Botwe Committee established by the National Executive of the party to get into exactly what led to the loss of the party's fortunes in the 2016 general elections?
Yes, in another context, as a former minister, he did meet the former ministers and appointees. So I was part of that group, and we had some series of discussions with him.
I see. And what exactly did you say to them? What could have led to the defeat of the party in the 2016 general elections?
That will be prejudicial to the committee's report. What we can do is to speak to the cadres issue, because it's a collective of former ministers, deputy ministers, and appointees in which we address a number of the issues. But that is for the committee.
Right. I ask this question because there are reports that have been attributed to you as saying that the party lost the elections because of high levels of corruption and opulence that was not checked in the NDC.
Nobody would attribute that to me personally, and I don't know the context in which that attribution can be made. But that was indicated in the statement that the cadres have issued. Let me set the context a bit clear. The cadres are an integral wing of the NDC. We have noticed since our defeat that individual cadres had become lone wolves and were issuing their own statements. This was in the heels of those of us who have been part of the cadre movement to try and reorganize and bring the cadres together. Because one of the complaints has been that the cadres have been marginalized over the years. And for me, I think part of that marginalization is also because they have not become coherent in terms of their engagement within the NDC system. So we said, instead of individuals issuing statements on their own, once they belong to the Association of Cadres, they should all come together and send whatever concerns they have, and to be put in a more disciplined way, issued and explained. So it's a clerical challenge you have.
Absolutely. But then again, you are a signatory to the statement that has been put together by the cadres.
Yes.
So it's a representation of what you believe could have led to the party's defeat in the 2020 general election. Because they put out a number of issues.
Yes, that is not a problem. Let's deal with it. If you watch that statement very carefully, it talked about perceived corruption. I think you can read it in the text. It talked about
Is it something that you subscribe to?
Yes, there was a major issue, and we were perceived as a government, as a corrupt government.
Was it the case? Because you were part of that particular administration.
Are you saying was the perception, the factual situation, or the mere that the government was corrupt? The perception had been there, and it was not only there, it had gone so deep. And you cannot reorganize a party where this perception lingers on. The more disturbing aspect is that this perception has also been bought over by some of our members, including some cadres. And so this has to be an issue that we have to look at in our process of reorganization.
Well, so one aspect of the statement which I read, which you are a signatory to, I'm just going to quote that part of it. It says that the NDC suffers a crushing defeat, and the government was seen to have abandoned the policies and programs tailored to benefit the ordinary working people, but was happily pursuing projects that largely benefited the elite and privileged class in the society. And you cite the IMF program as one of them, and you say it's a dubious commitment to social justice into running an IMF program in an election year. I recall that you defended this particular decision to have government run this IMF program in an election year. But when you're turning around
please, let's be very clear in our minds as to how this statement has been issued. This statement is a collection of views of a cadre association and put together. An individual of Benjamin Kumbo cannot be the one. I subscribe to all the views that are expressed.
Precisely
but it is a group view. And if you collect all these concerns that have been raised, what is your legitimacy in actually deleting some views you think you do not agree with because you happen to be part of the government? That is not the essence. The essence was to distill and collect the concerns of cadres and put it out there as one of the stepping stones for us to proceed into our reorganization.
No, I asked this question because you have signed up.
Yeah, you seem to be personalizing it. And I'm telling you that if you had allowed me, I would have told you this is a clerical error which you've been trying to correct.
A clerical error?
Yes.
On the part of the statement that was put out?
The statement that has come. If you watch it, the cadres have an association. They have officers. The officers include a secretary who would sign the statement. Now, if you look at the numbers that are attached,
absolutely,
they did get in touch with us and wanted us to read this statement that they were issuing and to see whether you could give some further explanation as to the context of the issues. That is how you see our names there, but not because we were the ones that signed the statement. That is not to say the substance of what the cadres have said is one that is not real. It's a factual situation, and these are the concerns.
Well, quickly, now, that one other part of the statement in which you say that because there are clerical errors and you were contacted, you may not be able to speak to some of the specific details of it. But one aspect of it that they say that the key operatives of the government became businessmen and women. And I'm posing these statements, the aspect of the statement to you, one, because you served in the administration which these cadres are pontificating such issues to. Secondly, you are a signatory to the statement of this particular cadres that have put out
Please don't continue to use the word that we are signatories. The only legitimate signatory
is the
to
secretary.
The statement is the secretary.
You support the
yes,
ideas.
And we are cadres and members of the association, and we intend to be able to explain what these statements mean. If you want to know what this cadres concern about this particular statement is, I can explain.
How would an early Congress help with the situation with the one that they are proposing, which you subscribe?
Precisely. If you look at it, you must look at the NDC constitution. Our officers are elected every 4 years with the amendment. If you were to go and start congresses at the branch level and work all your way to your presidential candidate, given all the preparations that are needed and vetting processes at some stages, you will be getting to 2019. And would you think with the magnitude of defeat that we have had, 1 year, 9 months will be sufficient for you to wage a campaign to come back to power? I know the Constitution also has provision
Absolutely.
in which you can abridge this time. The time
You're talking about organizing Congress in 2 years.
Well, what I'm saying is that there is a provision in the Constitution in which you can waive some of the strict and abridge the time and go for an early Congress and be battle ready early. This is the issue.
I see. Now, will you support a particular candidate, and in the case, John Mahama, if he decides to go for the 2020 general elections?
Yeah, I keep hearing the journalists, you keep putting this type of question up. An individual will take the decision that he wants to run for any office in NDC. That decision is for the individual to take. Nobody should be goaded into taking a particular decision. So President Mahama will take the decision. When he takes the decision, others will take their decision.
And
you will go to a
that
Congress.
You are going to support.
Whoever emerges.
Are you going to support that decision if you
Well,
decide to take
that will
it?
be at the Congress and to be a vote.
Are you going
cannot
to
be announcing your votes ahead of time when you don't
Are
have
you
a
going to
Congress.
contest him if he decides
you
to?
see, this is exactly the problem that we are having. The issue of who contests or who doesn't contest is a threshold we've not reached yet. What you need to do is to put the party on an even keel. We need to do that and do that quickly and in a very robust manner. But when we try to pitch individuals, I've heard these type of stories.
Because
so
I've
many
actually
times.
picked some signals that you have ambitions of contesting the flag bearership of the NDC.
They are not informed signals. I did hear that they said 15 names were out
Including
there.
yourself?
No, my name was not among the 15. At least what I have read in the media. People would speculate, people will say things, but the decision to contest will be mine. It will not be a decision of anybody. But that is not an issue in the context of this statement. What we are doing is coming out from a very painful electoral defeat. And we should be seen as people who have worked. We've not known any other political party as cadres apart from the NDC. So all our stakes are in the NDC. And our interest is to make sure that we reorganize, become formidable, and go into the election.
Benjamin Kumbo is the former member of parliament for the Nandom constituency. He said a number of ministries in the Mills and Mahama administration. He's going to be on hot issues on Saturday. So there's a lot more that we're going to be getting to with him here on TV3. But